Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having an awesome day as I am today. I am joined once again by my friend Ian.
Howdy.
And last time he was with me, we were unboxing the Your Name Japanese Collector's Edition. Recently, I've just actually seen the film today, so today we wanted to compare the Japanese Collector's Edition and two of the Funimation and Limited Edition, and right here. And Ian, if you would be so kind as to show over on yours again. Now, just to refresh everyone's memory, where did you say you got that again?
I got mine on Amazon Japan, but as of the current moment, the prices on Amazon Japan are around $200. A better place to get it currently is CD Japan, where the price is around $102.
Now, the Funimation Limited Edition, and that one costs about $80 to $85 plus tax. I originally was going to order mine off of RightStuff.com until Ian shot me a message saying that they had sold out. So I was kind of somewhat in a slight panic until I remembered maybe they might have some on Amazon, and I was pretty lucky. So when I saw that, I immediately bought it right there and then. And so what we want to do right now is pretty much show the differences between mine and his. So since I just got mine right here, I figured I wanted to show mine right here. The box actually comes apart like this. It's kind of weird for me considering normal Funimation Limited Editions. Let me grab one out of here. Say for I go a prime example right here, Nobunaga. Both the volumes are inserted like that, but this one, however, you just pretty much pull it apart. And what we got right here, from what I'm seeing, is an art book of Your Name, and I'm not gonna bother showing all the pages, and that would take a little bit too long right here. But this is the main and Big Daddy right here. Here's the front of it, side view, back view, and now it's alright. So this is what it pretty much looks like on the inside. Right here, a Blu-ray disc, DVD, and these two are the soundtracks. That's pretty much mine right here. Alright, let's have a look at yours.
To reiterate, the major differences of the box for the Japanese edition is the textured white cover and the traditional style of the box
Compared to the glossy like finish that Funimation usually does on their limited editions.
And inside mine it came with a Japanese script of the film, which is scene by scene descriptions as well as lines, and the Japanese edition of the art book, which uses the same textured matte feel of the box.
And once again, same pretty much material of these got.
And the case for mine is similar in feel, front, back. Let me remove my little extras here so they do not fall out. And mine extends further, and then there are 2 extra panels on the side so that it's let's see, much longer.
Yeah, you can pretty tell a comparison. And in between.
Mine came with the Japanese collector's issue comes with multiple discs.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Not only do you have a Blu-ray, you got a DVD version on there too, right?
I have a Blu-ray, a DVD, Blu-ray, DVD, 2 special features discs, and the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray disc.
Which, that's probably something Funimation, and hopefully, fingers crossed, will be looking forward to in the future later for 4K discs,
Yep.
since that's going to be a new thing coming out with HD.
The main difference in special features on the Japanese copy that wouldn't necessarily be on the Funimation release is tons of promotional tour footage from the Japanese promotion tours for the film pre-release. That involved the cast, the director, in some cases the band Radwimps, who was in charge of writing the entire soundtrack, as well as some of the production teams discussing the film to the Japanese public to promote the movie in advance, which we wouldn't necessarily have all of those in the American release.
Well, Japan's got to have some good exclusives that we don't have.
And also, in the Japanese release, is something that the special edition, as well as the collector's edition, was a chunk of the film as a bookmark.
If you guys can't see that, I'll post a picture about that somewhere in this video. Oh, and it also came with some
Some chibi stickers.
Yes, chibi looking and stickers right here. As
well as a pamphlet of other information on merchandise and books coming out related to Your Name that you could buy from Toho Animation, who is the larger studio behind it's the distributor for Comics Wave, which is the production studio that Makoto Shinkai, the author, works for.
And I gotta admit, I really didn't know what to actually expect from this movie. After reading the description, it just gives you a brief taste of what's going on, but the main thing after this, I was not expecting this movie to make the turn in the direction how it did, with the character development, and how they went back and forth in between their switches.
It's a movie you just have to see to really get the full emotion of. A big part of the reach of this film is the connection for the Japanese to the tsunami in Fukushima. It's a feeling of relation to natural disaster and loss, which is big in Asian culture around the time the release of the movie is. There were earthquakes in China at the time, and the Japanese were still getting over the Fukushima reactor and tsunami. So it made a deep emotional and psychological connection to those communities.
Heart's always been in Japan with this one.
One last small comparison is, for my own sake, I bought the Blu-ray DVD English dub disc combo pack for around $25 on Right Stuff. It comes with the traditional Funimation little folder,
Those slip covers.
the slip covers, and it releases in the regular Blu-ray disc box. Similar, the same basic imagery as the collector's edition.
Pretty much.
But what it does come with is the Blu-ray feature film and extras, which is the same disc that comes in the collector's edition, as well as the DVD feature film, which, if I remember correctly, is the same one that comes in the collector's edition.
And that's also got some artwork on the inside of the other side of that cover too, if I'm not mistaken, from what I'm seeing right there.
Yes. The artwork on the inside is reminiscent of a scene that's not really featured in the film, but it is a piece of artwork that is really beautiful.
I really do like how this movie was developed, and from what you were saying earlier when we were watching, some of that stuff did look like it was tough to animate.
Yes. That's one of the big features in Makoto Shinkai's works is the level of detail and animation difficulty are rather high, which comes from a part of the factor that Makoto Shinkai was on the cutting edge of computer-generated digital animation around the time that digital coloring and animation was coming to the forefront of anime. Around the time when they switched from hand-drawn and hand-colored to digital coloring and digital drawing. He was one of those on the forefront, and one of the biggest parts of his biggest footprint was dynamic lighting and dynamic moving shadows.
Well, sadly, I'm not an expert on all that kind of stuff.
That's where I come in.
Exactly, that's why I got you to tell me all this stuff.
Yep.
And I'm just the guy who likes to watch this stuff. Some details I pay attention to, some I don't.
Yes.
And the last time we touched that box, there was an item that you didn't have, but now you do, apparently.
Which is the English dub soundtrack of Your Name, which was released after the original movie film. The movie released a second time in Japanese theaters with the audio for the Japanese musicians' songs, which had lyrics to them, flipped to English lyrics, which was done because the lead singer to the band is mixed American and Japanese. So they licensed for an American dub with Funimation and decided to do English lyrics to all the songs, which they decided in the Japanese theaters to re-release the movie with that. And when it came over here, it had 3 options in theaters, which was English dub, Japanese subtitle with English subtitles and American lyrics, and Japanese subtitles with Japanese lyrics. Although it was somewhat splintered across the country in art theaters and in major cities where the distributor Funimation had a lot of sway, like Chicago, New York, Texas.
Yes, I can understand that.
This version of the soundtrack has only the 4 title tracks, which are the only ones with lyrics, because it was the whole point of this release was to bring across those, because they assumed people in Japan who would be buying this, which is where I bought it as an import, already would have owned the Japanese soundtrack, which had all of the BGM music releases. So the American releases of the soundtrack already still have those. Only the Japanese one does not have the rest of the soundtrack to it. His major occupation, which is one that is really, it's funny, when you look through his job history, because it's so diverse, and it's mostly all in his own works. Is director, writer, producer, animator, editor, cinematographer, voice actor, and a manga artist. And at the age of 44, he has a lot ahead of him and is currently in production of his next film, and he started almost immediately after Your Name's promotion tour ended. It is currently it's currently an untitled film, and if I remember correctly, the target date was 2019.
I am finding it's still hard to believe that he could try to actually top this movie.
I may not have said it on here, but I said it I mentioned it at one point. He himself, in interviews about Your Name, has said, after it gained the wide acclaim that it has today, said at one point to his viewers to stop seeing his movie because he didn't believe it was good enough. He thought it was unfinished and that he could do better, which is mind-numbing to think of after watching the film. Because it is a film you need to watch a couple of times to fully start to grasp all of the intricacies of, as well as from a Western perspective, you have to know a lot about Japanese Shintoism, Buddhism, as well as their literary quirks and language quirks to kind of understand some of the things in the movie, because there are quite a few jokes in the English dub that don't make quite as much sense because they're not easily translatable from the Japanese, which they're funny. They're somewhat funny to when you watch it, not realizing it, but if you watched it in the Japanese and at first and understood the jokes, it does leave a little bit to be desired in the English dub, although that's not the fault of the dubbers. The only major critique of the dub was the casting of Mitsuha, which was Stephanie Sheh, because one of the big complaint is that most people have is that she sounds like a 30-year-old pretending to be a teenager. Or that if the character reminds them of Sailor Moon. Which you can't really help when you hire the voice actors for Sailor Moon.
I thought she did a really nice job of this whole thing.
I would say she did the best. She did the best she could. And to be fair, it was the casting decision was definitely Funimation trying to put a big name on the docket for the movie to try to draw more of an American audience to the theaters, because they were initially trying to get nominated for the Academy Awards for the 2016 Academy Awards, which is why they did a film theater release in 2016 in the US in LA they did enough showings to qualify, and then they stopped. They didn't release it any further for about almost 8 months.
That was when they released it at other places outside of LA, right?
Yeah, that was when they did the full theater release. And by full theater release, I mean a limited theater release, but it was nationwide. Because the theater release was pushed back so far because they were at the time releasing One Piece Gold, and there was another movie that they were releasing I do not remember off the top of my head. One Piece Gold was the big one that they were trying to release in theaters in the U.S., and it pushed back Your Name's release, which damaged it a little bit in the voting for the Academy Awards, which is why it qualified but was not nominated for that, which, if they had just delayed, it would have been nominated this year alongside Silent Voice, which was nominated for the Academy Awards this year in animation. And it would have probably won against Silent Voice and the very weak current running for animation in the Academy Awards.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it happens. My main thing to say is that if you're going to watch the movie, I would advise watching it in the Japanese first, because you're getting the original script in its intended language and just nature. You're not having to deal with them trying to match the script to the voice flaps in dubbing. So you get the subtitles as close to what the intended meaning is as you can. You avoid some of the jokes being translated weirdly, and the voice acting is phenomenal in the Japanese. As you'll get the option, depending on the copy of Your Name you have, you might have the option, if you get any of the Japanese ones, to switch between the two soundtracks, the English and the Japanese, and it's just brilliant.
I would assume if you choose the Japanese option in the settings, it will give you the Japanese soundtrack regardless.
I have not tested that yet, so I'm not 100% sure. That it could, maybe. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't necessarily guarantee it because of licensing issues with the Japanese production studio for the Japanese soundtrack studio might have had something to do with it. I would hope that wouldn't become involved, because that often does become involved with American releases of Japanese things, that unless the soundtrack is kept 100% the same and not changed, you'll have licensing issues.
Well, I'll check it out in Japanese myself one day and then see about that.
Yeah.
Since after watching the English dub, I'm pretty sure I love the original Japanese track even better.
Yes. So yeah, watch the Japanese dub, then watch the English dub, compare them, and figure out which one you like the best.
Well, everyone, and thanks for watching in this video. Ian, thank you once again for coming back and showing and our little comparison and then talk of the work on Your Name. And so, well, thanks for watching this video. If you like more video on this channel, or maybe some more gameplay and footage from me, like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Well, and I will see you next time.